Yeah, the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, the FCCPC, has issued a new regulatory framework for digital money lenders in Nigeria. Joining me now to clarify these new regulations in terms of registration and other headlines in the news is the Executive Chairman and CEO of the agency, Babatunde Irukera. Thank you so much, sir. We appreciate your making it to the studio tonight. We're a little bit covering quite a whole lot of stories around the passing of the Queen Elizabeth II and the ascension to the throne by King Charles III. So we're quite busy at both ends of the divide here. Thank you so much for making it. We appreciate that. So unpack for me the limited interim regulatory and registration framework for digital money lenders that the FCCPC issued recently.
Thank you very much. Simply put, it's exactly what you've called it. It's limited and it's interim. Essentially, the whole purpose of this is to plug a problem while a broader and more enduring regulatory framework is established. It is the product of the joint work of the Joint Task Force, meaning that essentially FCCPC is acting as a secretariat for NIDA, the Data Protection Bureau, CBN, EFCC, ICPC, and the Human Rights Commission with respect to this. And essentially what it is that it addresses some of the key issues that have arisen in that space, which is at least some basic information about who the businesses are. And so essentially what we do is we're going to collect that, and everybody who has anything to do in this space gets a copy of all the information that is provided. And what it would do is to at least let us know who's where, what they do, where they're from, and how to get a hold of them when the need arises.
Was the framework requirements within the powers, you just said, well, within the FCC, the acts that set up the FCCPC, some say it's in conflict with other regulations such as BOFIA?
No, there's no conflict at all, as a matter of fact. First, with respect to the powers of the FCCPC to promulgate such regulations, it's in Section 163. Secondly, Section 17, subsection A of the FCCPA mandates the FCCPC to enforce even other enactments with respect to the protection of consumers and for the regulation of competition. And with respect to the point you make about BOFIA, like I said, CBN is part of this arrangement. CBN absolutely has the prerogative, the statutory powers to engage with other regulators and come into some mutual understanding. But beyond that is the fact that the subject that we're seeking to gather information about is actually something that CBN doesn't regulate. Money lenders are not regulated by CBN. They do not carry a CBN license. However, it is quite correct that some MFBs, meaning that microfinance banks that are regulated by the CBN, also engage in this digital money lending. But they're engaging in a business that is not subject of their license, meaning that you don't need a license to do that business. So to the extent that those businesses that are otherwise regulated by the CBN engage in business that is not defined by BOFIA and that is not subject to CBN regulation, someone has to regulate it. Or are they going to be able to operate without regulation? And so in that limited capacity, other regulators are certainly welcome to look at their conduct.
How wide-ranging are the powers of the FCCPC in terms of consumer protection and, to briefly tell me, and anti-competition?
Well, I'd say that the powers are not limitless, they're statutory, but with respect to the interplay between other regulators and jurisdictionally, the FCCPC has jurisdiction over every aspect of business, every aspect of commerce with respect to competition and consumer protection. Does it mean they can do just about anything? No, it doesn't. But does the law clearly stipulate that every aspect of commerce, including regulating the government, when the government gets into commerce? And so government services that are not commercial in nature, where the government is not in a business for profit, are not regulated by the FCCPC. But if the government, whether the federal government, states or other municipalities, engage in business like transport, like oil, as a business and for the purpose of commerce, yeah, they're subject to regulation also. And the same thing goes for private businesses across the country.
So we need a digital
including
law
outside the country. If the impact...
Yes, sir, please go ahead.
Go ahead, sir.
Yes, I was just about to
I was going to say that
we
even with foreign companies,
Yes.
Yes, I was going to say, even with foreign companies, if their conduct has impact in the Nigerian market, they're subject to the jurisdiction of the FCCPA and invariably the FCCPC.
Okay, so back to the digital money lender. We need a digital money lender law. Who's going to put that together? How soon do you think that will come on board?
I think there's robust conversations going amongst all the people and the joint task force about what really is the best instrument and the best seat where this should be regulated. The question of lending and traditional banking and even payment systems are regulated by the CBN. Should this also be regulated by the CBN? That's a conversation that's going on. In any case, regardless of who regulates the lending aspect of it, there are other aspects of this that other agencies would have to look at. For instance, the technology would have to be looked at by NIDA. Access and all kinds of other services would have to be overlooked by the NCC, and data protection would have to be looked at by the Data Protection Bureau and the FCCPC.
So there's a whole lot of robust scrutiny coming through right now for the Nigeria's digital money lending business. But very quickly, because of the time on our hand this evening, tell me about the House Committee, Finance Committee on Finance, scrutinizing the financials of the FCCPC. What's going on there?
Well, I mean, we're surprised about some of the publications we have read at the FCCPC purporting to allege that the FCCPC has been engaging in extra budgetary spending. It's clearly a misunderstanding of the law that was promulgated by the National Assembly itself. The FCCPC is a regulator. It was created by the FCCPA. Section 23 makes provisions for the finances of the agency, and it identifies the sources of its finance, it identifies its budgetary process, and it identifies what it can spend the expenditure on. The FCCPC has complied with all of that. It's not by the new law, it's not a treasury funded entity. It must fund itself, and its budget goes through the president directly, not part of the treasury envelope, but directly to the National Assembly. And the National Assembly approved the FCCPC's current budget. And so I'm sure that this wrinkle will be addressed when the committee gets more information, and perhaps may have been addressed if the committee had allowed the FCCPC operatives to speak to the issues that they were concerned about. Sadly, that didn't happen.
But you still have another opportunity to have an engagement with the committee at the House. Absolutely. We have a Monday appointment with them. We look forward to it. Oh, great. Thank you. I wouldn't be asking you what you'll be telling them, because that will be raising the curtain on what you'll be discussing on Monday. Thank you so much for speaking with us. Well, no, we don't have a problem with telling. No, their role is to oversight us, and certainly we will tell you. It is to provide our budget and provide all the information that refutes the allegations they have made. You haven't been doing, have you been doing extra budgetary spending? No. Okay. Everything we've done is in accordance with the law and our preparation. All right. Let's meet at the House on Monday. See you then. Irukera, Executive Chairman and CEO at the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission. Thank you so much, and do have a very great evening talking to the latest framework for regulatory and supervision of digital money lending in Nigeria. And of course, what that means is talking about the cooperation going on between a number of agencies in Nigeria, including the Central Bank of Nigeria, on how to supervise this new horizon in terms of money lending digitally using fintech in Nigeria space.